Caro Kann. Okay? Can the next player get that? Yes, okay, there we go. Alright, so we are going. And we have a Von Hennig. Okay, so. I had this against Chess Vibes in the match that we did, but I mixed up my theory a bit. So I'll see if I can remember it this time. Knight f3. How am I supposed to meet that? I think knight back to d6 is still the best move. The knight on d6 is very strong because it hits the bishop, it defends my bishop, and also defends the f7 pawn. It's just an incredibly strong piece. So if like bishop back to d3, I think we can probably just play e6. And if takes, we can take with the knight. So that looks pretty nice. So we're up a pawn, but like, you know, there's still pressure down the f-file for sure. Okay, so he's trying to take and then take. Sure, so I feel like I should probably take on d3. We could actually whack the knight on f5 anyway. Maybe we should get castled first. Yeah, the alien gambit is obviously a scary one to face with the black pieces, but I mean, I'm sure we'll see an alien gambit in this stream at some point, so I'll be able to show you guys what I play against the alien gambit, which is also in my school course, and yeah, basically just not engaging with it is what I like to do. So I'm going to go knight f6 with tempo on the queen, and I think I want to just whack the knight on the d5 square. So this is like kind of a typical maneuver in these positions. You can also do it via b6 into d5. And obviously if c4 gets played, it will kick our knight away, but it might also weaken white's d4 pawn. So now I think we need to figure out how we're actually going to proceed. Like, we're up a pawn, our position is fine, so now we need to figure out what the actual plan is. And I think at some point we're going to be trying to play c5. Not yet. I don't have the resources to play it just yet. I'd like to play queen b6, but there is knight to d7, annoyingly. I could take the knight. Bishop takes. I don't know about that. It might be fine, but it feels like I'm opening up my king a little bit. I could go queen e7, rook d8, and then play for c5. That I think I quite like. Blitz or what time control? Yeah, blitz is good. Blitz is good. This is a 5+0, so I will have to make sure I watch the clock because there is no increment on this game. So queen e7 I like because I want to put a rook on d8, which I'm going to do, just because we're lining up with this queen and the d4 pawn, and I'm preparing the move c5. The knight is keeping an eye on my bishop as well as my queen, so I need to keep an eye on rook takes f6, but for the time being, that's not going to do anything, because we don't have to take with the pawn anyway. There is an argument to be made for playing g6 and bishop back to g7, but then, to me, that just seems like it's weakening the f7 pawn, and I don't really want to do that. So I'd rather just keep things kind of chill as they are. Hopefully the stream is fine for everyone. Hopefully it's formatted correctly this time. Apologies to those of you who were trying to join at 10 o'clock, which is when it was supposed to go live, because I just couldn't figure out why my stream wasn't working properly. So the question is, can I go c5 or not? So c5, c4, knight b6, d5. Looks slightly concerning. Looks slightly concerning, to be honest. Okay, that's actually kind of difficult. Okay, I'll start with rook a to c8. Let's start with this. I'm just a bit concerned about c4 and d5 playing on this. I don't know whether it's a big deal or not, but I don't really want to risk it. Not yet, anyway. c5 I do want to play. I'd like it if white plays c4 preemptively. I'd very much like that. I can just drop back. I have threats of taking and taking. The d-pawn is far weaker. But, yeah. I don't want to rush this. We're also catching up on the clock, which is very good news. And we're up a pawn, of course, because my opponent played the von Hennig gambit. So in his compensation for the pawn is, of course, the open f-file. But my argument is that that isn't enough compensation, of course, because I think I've consolidated the position well enough. And yeah, a big part of that is the knight from e4 coming back to d6 in the opening. It's just a really solid way to go about it. So okay, yeah, my opponent's coming down to 2 minutes. Spends 1 minute and 20 seconds on knight d3, so trying to stop pawn c5, I would assume. I can try and force it through. b6 does take away this square from me, but c4 I can take with check because the queen is cut off. So I think I will go b6. I can always come back to c7 if I absolutely need to, so I don't think that's a big issue. If c5, pawn take, I'm not sure I want to split my pawns up, but this is a rather interesting diagonal for my bishop, I guess. So that could be interesting as well. And my opponent is getting lower on the clock, and again, there is no increment in this game. Okay, well, trades, of course, I should go for. That's not an issue. Queen takes. Yeah, there's no idea of this. Okay, let's do it. Because if we can open up the d-file for my rooks, I mean, I can even try and swing the rook over or something. It should be pretty ideal. Taking with the queen, I think taking with the rook makes more sense to prepare a double up. My queen's probably good keeping an eye on the bishop just in case. Alright, let's double up. If rook takes, queen b8, I have rook back to d8, a7 is defended. So that's no problem. I maybe want to play h6 at some point to give my king some luft. Okay, rook takes. So I also have the d-file, which is good. Okay, this just looks like an easy enough position. I have a passed e-pawn. Of course, my e-pawn is all the way on e6 for the time being. But if I can start to push this up the board, it could be a problem for white even. Okay, rook e1. I don't think that really poses a threat, but I am going to go queen d8 just to get off the file, just in case, to stop any infiltration and also set up a battery. I'm more than happy with a trade, I think. Let's put the pawns on light squares so they can't be targeted by this bishop. I think I just infiltrate. I mean, the d-file is the only open file, and I dominate it. It's very difficult for this rook to oppose me. So let's apply some pressure. Of course, if b3, I can just take here. I will be playing h6 to give my king some luft if I get an opportunity. Okay, I am actually going to play it because I don't mind if he plays rook b1 to defend. Yeah, so basically I'm giving him the d-file, but now I have an escape route, so it's not as big of a deal. Also, again, time situation is very much in my favor, and there is no increment. I think b4 might be the easiest move here, just trading off his only potentially annoying pawn, and then probably trying to play a5. Oh, that's just a free rook. Okay, let's grab that then. And my opponent resigns. Okay, GG. Do I think the c5 line in the advance is still playable at my level, or do I prefer bishop to f5? It's playable, but people are very booked up at like 2300. It gets far more difficult to get away with it. So I'll quickly go over the opening. So it's the von Hennig gambit, which is a very aggressive gambit with bishop to c4. So I personally like this setup of not taking on f3 and instead just overprotecting my e4 pawn. And in the event of a trade, which my opponent goes for, one of the main lines is queen f3. And after knight d6, bishop f7, king f7, pawn g4, pawn e6. This is the line I played against Chess Vibes in our little mini match that we did. But my opponent here plays instead knight to f3. Here the engine likes e6, but knight d6 is completely fine as well. And the knight on d6, as I mentioned during the game, is very strong. Attacks the bishop, defends our bishop, defends f7. Yeah, I don't take on f3 in the von Hennig. I know objectively it's the best move, but it's far too dangerous in my opinion. So yeah, here e6 is good. We're not really in a rush to take on d3 because our bishop is well defended. So after castles, yeah, this is all fine. And then in this position, I felt very much like we'd consolidated here. The engine likes the immediate c5, but I thought I'd just prepare it a bit. Yeah, it really wants me to go c5, but we're not necessarily in a rush. And then here, yeah, the cleanup is relatively easy once pieces come off the board. And the problem for white is that I dominate the d file, so there's not really a lot that he can do. So, okay, let's jump into the next game against Confluence. So he has to play the Caro Kann. Yeah, there we go, good. And I normally play the Panov attack with takes and c4. But let's try the advance. Let's see what he plays against the advance. I'll try and play lots of different Caro Kann lines in this video. So, okay, we have pawn to c5, which is the line that Derpley you were on about earlier. Now, knight to f3, I think, is the best move. I'm basically playing from the white side what I hated facing playing with the black pieces, which is why I stopped playing the Botvinnik Karls variation. So I think c3 is the move, if I remember correctly. Yes. So we're setting a lot of traps in this position. A lot of traps are being set right now. My opponent goes e6. We'll go bishop to e3, defending the c5 pawn. And if black isn't careful, we're going to be able to hold on to both of our pawns, be up a pawn, and it could be very difficult for black to win back his material. So we'll see what he plays here. We'll see what he plays. Knight f3, dc5 is objectively best. Yeah. Okay, queen c7. Is it bishop? What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do? I think it's bishop d4? Is it bishop d4? And if knight e5... Bishop e5... Yeah, I think it's bishop to d4. I think. And of course, you now see the point of pawn c3 earlier on. Not only opening up our queen, but also giving us ideas of taking here and securing our pawns in the center. So he can now take on e5. He can take it. But I think we can play take, and bishop b5 check. And then the oh no, takes comes with check. My bad. So what about queen g3? What about queen g3? What does he do? So we're obviously threatening to win the knight. There is no bishop d6 breaking the pin and defending, because our pawn is controlling that square. And hopefully I'm showing you guys why I stopped playing the variation that my opponent is playing this game. Namely because of this type of position. Yes, he goes f6. But f6 is a temporary... Well, it fixes only part of the problem, because now we get bishop b5. And the knight can't block because the queen hangs, which means the king is going to have to move, which obviously isn't good. And material is equal. But we have a lot of pressure. We have better development. We have not necessarily more central control, but maybe higher quality, you could say. I think castling makes sense. Although maybe b4 is easier, just defending our extra... Well, not extra pawn, but defending our pawn. This is a super annoying structure for black to deal with, because a5 doesn't solve the problem because of takes and c takes. Again, showing why c3 earlier in the game is an important move. Because we have knight h6, preparing knight to f5. Do I care? Do I care? So if I castle and he goes knight to f5, and I play, let's say, queen h3, would I want to go queen h3? Could Could I take? Queen takes, pawn takes, rook e1, pawn e4, pawn f3, takes, rook e6. It's interesting. But I feel like that's maybe an overreaction. I mean, knight d2 or castles is probably fine. Castles, knight f5, queen h3 if take. Yeah, I mean, that's not a problem, is it? Not a problem. Let's just castle. I don't think we have to do anything drastic, because if we can bring in all our pieces, I mean, we're just going to be dominant. So queen h3, applying pressure to e6. Don't really mind if he takes, because I feel like it's just fixing our pawn structure. And if that trade occurs, it makes it very hard for black to play pawn e5, actually, which means e6 will be a permanent weakness. I think bishop back here or bishop back here. Let's go to a4. I don't really want to go back to e2, because I'd rather keep the e-file open, but maybe I'm allowing knight c4. Maybe? But that does open up the e-file for me, and if he goes pawn e5, that's an interesting proposition. But okay, we see g5 instead. My queen isn't getting trapped. My queen's fine. Let's just go knight d2. If pawn g4, I have queen h5, and my queen is safe. If knight g7, I can bail out with bishop e5, because that will come with tempo on the black queen. And I'm also threatening checkmate in 1. Let's not forget about that. So black needs to defend against that, maybe with a move like bishop to e7. He may miss it. It's a bit of a sneaky idea with pieces from either side of the board. He does see it. Yeah, bishop to e7. Okay, what happens after rook e1? If knight back, I can just take. Yeah, that looks completely fine. I would say black is consolidating relatively well here, but I'm just not sure if it's enough. Let's go rook e1. I mean, at the end of the day, this rook can't get into the game. Because the king can't do anything. His knights are good, though. His knights are good. I just don't think they're good enough. And I can take this whenever I want. But for now, I'm more than happy for him to take me, because then I fix my pawn structure. His knight doesn't really have any good squares, and then e6 will be a problem once this knight is forced to move. f4 is interesting. I mean, I guess there's arguments to be made for playing f4 sooner, before he played g5. Okay, he's really trying to trap my queen. I don't think he has a queen trap, and to be honest, I think just take, and take might be the easiest option now. Just to avoid any shenanigans. Yeah, I think this is easiest. This knight has no good moves. I control all of the good squares, so e6 is still a major problem. There's no rook g8. I'm up a pawn. And we do have opposite color bishops, so, you know, theoretically this could be a draw. But opposite color bishops tend to favor the attacking side, and we are clearly the attacking side here. So taking on passant seems silly. No need. This pawn is a monster. So either bishop b3 or bishop c2. Both of them come with a threat. Bishop e3 threatens take, and take. Bishop c2 threatens take, and take. I think I prefer bishop c2. Just because even if black deals with the threat on the knight, I still have pressure on the knight, and I'm still probably happy to just take it anyway and just get it off the board. Queen d7 defending. I mean, I could play take and infiltrate, but it might be easier to play a move like knight to f3, threatening the e5 pawn. If bishop to f6, I still take. I could take with the rook immediately, but then he has bishop to f6, and he gets a bit of counterplay. So, yeah, I'm going to say knight to f3. Because now with bishop f6, and knight takes e5, of course, I just take the queen. So, okay, yeah, so we have pawn e4. So I can either come here or here. I think I prefer e5. I don't want to allow some weird opposite color bishop endgame position. I'm also threatening f7 with check, and I'm threatening the queen. So it looks like, yeah, queen e8 is the only move. Okay. I mean, rook d1 looks very reasonable. Pawn f4 looks interesting, trying to support the knight, and if on, yeah, no, that I quite like that. Think I quite like that. Rook g8, queen e2. I do have 2 seconds increment. I need to play much quicker though. I didn't realize the time situation. Rook g8, maybe queen h3 actually. Maybe queen h3, setting something like this up. Yeah, let's go queen h3. I also don't want to allow this, because that could be annoying. So I'm keeping an eye on the black queen. And I've got to be aware of this pawn, but yeah, okay. Let's go rook ad1, maybe going for an exchange sacrifice, which I think looks decent. Probably. I could go for this maybe. I could also consider take and this in some lines. Maybe not immediately, but in some lines. I also have c6 in my back pocket. I just don't see a need to play it yet. a5. Let's go here. So if take, a2 is defended, and I also have this threat ready. Yeah, now I have this. My opponent... Okay, it looks like he saw it at the last second. But now the a-file is also shut, so that benefits me, because it reduces counterplay. And also, I'm up 2 pawns now. And I have knight versus bishop, so endgames will not be drawish. Okay. Rook f8. Okay, let's go to e6. Maybe it's just rook f6 to be fair. I guess I just take though. Alright, bishop f6. Let's keep the queens on the board. Let's keep the queens on the board. I don't think there's a need to trade. Now I think I will though, because I'm up 3 pawns. Previously I was up 2 pawns. Well, now I'm up 4 pawns. I mean, this is fine. And I'll be up even more in a second. Let's push. I'm not really in any danger. Let's push. Let's defend. Or why? I shouldn't have done that. I should have gone rook a6 immediately. Okay, that was a bit silly. I don't really know why I've played that either. Okay, let's push. Push. I'll sack my rook for the a-pawn if I need to. That's not really an issue. Okay. I missed that came with check. But it doesn't really matter, because I've got 2 extra pawns here. Opponent did play that endgame well, to be fair, but it's not quite going to be enough. And my opponent resigns, because I'll simply sack this queen for this pawn and then promote this one. Interesting game. Got to a bit of a time scramble at the end. GG to Confluence. So, this is why... This is the exact reason why I stopped playing this pawn c5 line with black in the Caro Kann advance. Because after knight to f3, knight c6, dc5, bishop g4, it looks like after pawn c3, black just takes. But he can't. This is a common trap. Knight takes, bishop check. The queen has to block. And white is up a bunch of material at the end of the day. This is a well-known line. And so, okay, black goes, all right then. Let's play pawn e6, giving my king a square to move to. But now there is bishop to e3. And if you try this again, then there's queen to a4, hitting the bishop, hitting the king. If the knight blocks, the bishop hangs. So if the queen blocks, then there's bishop to b5, pinning the queen to the king, forcing the knight to block, and then the bishop hangs. So black again can't take. And he goes queen c7. Not the best move. Okay, bishop to d4 isn't that good. Knight bd2 is better. Okay, if knight takes... Ah, right, queen a4. Oh, of course, yes. Okay, I missed that. So I actually misplayed it a bit here, but knight takes felt very wrong. After f6 check, king f7, apparently black is almost equal. That looks ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous, but yeah. Black got himself into a bit of trouble and tried to trap my queen, but there was never really a queen trap available. And yeah, I think we ended it in a little bit of style with the trap, although bishop f6 equalizes for black, apparently. Hard to prove, though. Hard to prove. My opponent fought back very well there, though, so GG. Let's jump into the next one. So, my opponent has to play the Caro Kann. He has to play the Caro Kann. If he doesn't, we will just abort the game. As our first opponent found out. Okay, here we go. Caro Kann. So, in the previous one, we played the advanced variation. Oh, this is rated. Dude, why is this rated? Here, what should we play? What should we play? Let's play knight c3. The classical. And so, yeah, knight to f6 is the move that I play with the black pieces, the Tartakower, and we will enter the main line. And I will play the main line with white with c3, with bishop to d6. We'll go bishop to d3. Castles, and knight to e2 is the correct setup for white. The knight on f3 is vulnerable to bishop g4. Here we can castle. Knight d7, and let me remember how we're supposed to play this. I think this maneuver is kind of the best way to go about it. My opponent may go g6. Okay, so we can bring our knight up. Bishop probably retreats. It's valid. We could go bishop to e3, just developing first. Which is valid, but... queen c2, knight g6. Nah, let's go bishop e3. As long as my f-pawn doesn't get overloaded, then I'm fine, because if bishop g3, I have hg3. Yeah, so knight g6. Let's go queen d2, exerting more control over f4. In the Tartakower, f4 and f5 are very important squares, and it seems that my opponent is pretty familiar with the ideas in the Tartakower. He's playing a lot of the right moves, so fair play. Fair play. Maybe he has my Caro Kann course, who knows? So, okay. If nothing happens here, I probably just put my rook on e1 and my knight on f5. And the problem for black in these positions is that endgames favor white. Endgames favor white inherently because we have a 4 versus 3 on the queen side, and black's pawn majority on the king side isn't very mobile. If rook e1, pawn f5, I probably take it and give up the pawn on h2. Because it's a very common idea for black in these positions to try and play for pawn f5, pawn f4. Okay, we have bishop d7. All right. We could snap the knight, but it doesn't really seem to make much sense. We could try to double up on the e-file. We could play, I think c4 looks reasonable. Let's go c4. I think our position is pretty stable in the center. If he plays knight to f4, I could take it, but bishop back to f1 seems better to me. I think I prefer that. I have knight f1 if I really want it, defending h2. I think I can probably just expand on the queen side. I've of course got to watch this, but he can't play it just yet. If a5, a3, black has to be very careful advancing pawns on the queen side because they can actually become incredibly weak if he's not careful. And I want to play on the queen side because I have a pawn majority there. I may be trying to go d5 at some point. But yeah, I really can't fault my opponent's play. He's playing very well. Playing very, very well. c5. Oh, okay, that's a very committal move. Let's go d5. We now have a protected passed pawn. I have a feeling that this isn't quite good enough. It's normally a bad move. Here it might be okay, but it's normally a bad move. So, okay, pawn a5. What does that do? What does that do? I mean, it stops pawn b4. Kind of like queen c2 here. Applying pressure to this diagonal. Maybe I can reroute my bishop. I don't feel under much pressure here. Okay, pawn a4. As I said, it's normally a bad idea for black to be playing with his queenside pawns. Pawn b4. No, that's silly. Pawn b3. Take looks... I actually don't want to play that. I don't think I want to. Knight here's valid. I think actually, let's go bishop to f5. Let's offer a bishop trade. Let's offer a bishop trade. Am I only accepting games with increment? I would prefer increment, but no increment isn't the end of the world. So as I said, f5 is a very important square in this opening, as is f4 for black. So I'm trying to, if takes, I could take with the knight, but then bishop h2. So realistically, I'm going to be taking with the queen, and if a3, I'll just play b3. Again, this pawn is a big problem. I have a very solid pawn chain here. c5 could be weak, a3 could be weak. a3 could be a strength, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I think black's overextended with c5 and pushing his a-pawn. So, okay, so going rook e7. Trying to double up on the e-file, I assume. I could take here. I think I will. If queen takes... Yeah, no. Can't I just go knight f5? Because now there's no bishop h2. I think I just nab the bishop, surely. Yeah, and then his pawns are just quite weak. Queen f5 looks very good. b6 defending. I think. I'm just making sure this queen can't infiltrate. Yeah, trades are fine. I'll take the e-file. King f8 preparing this. Black has to be very careful. Let's go f4 to take away the e5 square. So I want to deliver this check. And you'll see, hopefully, why this pawn is such an issue. a3 is so weak. Let's secure this. And I think bishop back to c1 should be pretty deadly. Yeah, now he can't accept this queen trade. That is game losing. Yeah, now the game is over. And you can see, even though we have an equal number of pawns, they're not of the same quality. It's an interesting move, to be fair. If here, no. I'm actually just going to go bishop f4. I know a3 was hanging, but I think this is easier. Okay. 6. Let's push. Put all the pawns on light squares. Okay, yeah, now he sacks the knight, and that's going to be game. Taking is never a good idea, because then he can undouble the pawns. We don't really want to do that. We want to keep these f-pawns doubled, because that is why they are not very good. And that's why our 4 versus 3 on the queen side is far stronger than black's 4 versus 3 on the king side. But my opponent played very well. Played very, very well that game. GG. Very well played to my opponent. I mean, the opening, I can't really fault it. I'll do a quick game review. But yeah, my opponent played very well. No chat on the screen. No. Yeah, Stripemas. Obviously, opening theory is important in understanding the ensuing middle game, but it's also important in understanding the endgames that could arise, and the pawn structure is so important in the Tartakower endgames because they almost always favor white. Yeah, here c5 is a mistake. d5 is a miss. The engine wants me to take. And if bishop takes, queen to... Oh, I completely missed. I can take and then the bishop hangs. Completely missed that. d5, the engine says is equal if knight to e5 is played, which I was expecting. I still think this is far easier to play with the white pieces, though. Glad to hear it, Quantum. Glad to hear it. You played a very good game. Very good game. But a5, yeah. Pushing pawns on the queen side like this with black, typically not good in the Tartakower. Black should be focusing on the center and the king side. Bishop f5 isn't the best, but I mean, I think this is a very good position. Knight f5 I was very happy with, and although these aren't perfect moves or anything, the problem for black is that he can never trade queens with me. And the moment he does, it's basically +1. I mean, knight g6 was a very good find, to be fair. Bishop f4. And if the black knight takes, for example, it's +1.5. I mean, it's saying +0.5. Okay. But realistically, I find it very hard to believe that black can actually hold this position with these two very strong central pawns. I only play the Caro Kann as black, and the Tartakower is my weakest, to be honest, because not a lot of players play it in my rating range. Yeah, I assume you'd see more exchange and advanced variations if I had to guess. Alright, let's go. Next opponent, Struan. I'm not going to say the whole name. So we are, of course, wanting a Caro. Looks like he's aborting the game, though. Ooh. Oh, no, he's back. Okay, so we've had an advanced variation. We've had a classical variation. We could play a Panov. Okay, we could play a Panov. Let's try and play lots of different lines. We'll play a Panov this game, which is what I normally play against the Caro with the white pieces. I'm a big fan of it. Knight f6, knight c3, applying pressure to the pawn. And yeah, in yesterday's video, we faced the move pawn to e6 in yesterday's rapid video, and that is it is the most solid line. It's just a bit strange. Here we have bishop f5, which I know is a bad move. I think it's because of takes. Knight takes and queen b3. I think that's why. The bishop should be on c8 for the beginning to defend b7. There are some lines where it can go to g4 if it's going to be taking a knight on f3. But yeah, this is, I think, already about +1. So I think the move is queen b3. Applying pressure to the pawn, the knight, and the f7 pawn. Trying to exploit the fact the bishop should be on c8. If knight c3... I guess the question is, can I get away with bishop... Sorry, queen b7? Maybe just bishop to e4? because the knight defends the bishop. Bishop b5. Okay, we have knight back to b6. I assume d5. Also knight f3. Yeah, knight f3 should be fine. Maybe I've misplayed this a little bit. I feel like we should have had a better position, but there's like some weird lines with queen b3, queen b6, where black is like okay. Okay. Strike must. Have a good one, mate. Have a good one. Alright, h6 seems wrong. Now, I can't go for knight e5 immediately, because I assume just e6 or even bishop e6. I don't really see the point in that. It might be easier just to continue our development. Although, actually, bishop e5 is quite interesting. Because if knight c6, then I can go knight to e5, because I'm threatening f7, but I'm also threatening the knight. That looks rather hard to defend against. I actually think I remember the line I was supposed to play. I don't think this is the most critical, but yeah, whatever. Interesting position nonetheless. So yeah, knight c6, knight e5, bishop e6, knight c6. Okay, no, we have bishop back to d7 instead. We can still go for this, though. Probably forces pawn e6. I might just nab... I could nab the bishop, but I don't have to. b6, I could just castle. Could just castle, yeah. I mean, he can't really take me very easily. I mean, queen takes, knight blocks. I guess that's okay. Yeah, I suppose. Maybe I can play for f4, f5. That might be overstretching a little bit, though. We'll see. Okay, bishop e7 is also valid. Also valid. Bishop e3 looks reasonable. I mean, I could take with the bishop, but that looks a bit silly. I'm just helping black. Let's go bishop e3, just keeping an eye on the pawn. These isolated queen pawn positions can be difficult. Maybe I should be going for d5. Like, if castles, maybe d5. Just trying to get rid of my isolated pawn. I could prepare that of rook d1, I suppose. Yeah, let's start with rook fd1. I think I want to go d5. Open my bishop up on this pretty interesting diagonal. Open my rook up on the d file. d7 could be a problem. Yeah, it's interesting. And you can see that this doesn't really resemble a Caro Kann structure anymore, which is kind of the point of the Panov attack, to take people out of their comfort zone. Okay, we have knight c6. Let's take the bishop now, because now the knight can't develop to d7. If queen... Yeah, no, surely we go d5. Surely. I mean, this looks pretty bad. Bishop f4, knight e4, targeting the e6 square was a pretty nice idea. Oh, sorry, do you mean d6? That is interesting on d6, yeah. Okay, so take, knight takes looks interesting. I could also play takes immediately, but then takes, rook takes, queen moves. I think I prefer this. Because now we have several threats. Okay, well that's just a queen. We can also throw this in. And then we can take back. And now we're up 2 pieces. I mean, even if we lose one of them, it doesn't really matter. Let's go rook d1, because I have bishop to g4, defending and offering a trade. I also now have this, because this comes with check, and that should be game over. GG to my opponent. I think I did misplay the opening, actually, because after bishop f5, yeah, no, taking actually isn't the best way. I knew it was queen b3, and after queen b6, it's takes, isn't it? Oh, no, it's takes here. I knew it was something to do with taking on d5. GG, Struan Bowie. GG. Yeah, I kind of mixed up my moves, to be fair, but we got an interesting game nonetheless. Queen B3, knight back. Yeah, here, black is in a lot of trouble already. H6 is just too slow. Bishop E6 is apparently the only move to hold equality. I was expecting something more like pawn E6, to be fair. Engine still quite likes this for white, though. Yeah, there might have been ways for me to win quicker, but I felt like we just had a very big advantage. D5 immediately is actually strong, because I guess F7 is a problem. But, okay, bishop E3 is fine. And now black is in trouble after pawn D5. And after takes, bishop E6 is the best move, because now we have so many different discoveries. Here, apparently, the only move is rook A8. I thought I had knight to F6 check, though. Bishop F6, rook D7, rook D7. And I have a queen for a rook and a knight, which should be good enough to win. But okay, GG. Let's jump into the next one. Go against Slow Life. Of course, we can pre-move C6. We have the black side of this. I feel like I've only really had white games. No. It's a Caro Kann. It's a Caro Kann thing. We're playing the Caro, not the Queen's Pawn. Not Queen's Pawn. I'm going to abort and then rematch so that I have the black side of it. So we need E4. No, we need E4. Okay. Don't know why he had to play D4 first, but alright then. With the exchange, are we going to have the Panov or the classical exchange of bishop D3? We'll see. Okay, knight F3 is like a subpar version. Has he just... No, he's just transposed into the Panov. Okay, that's fine then. That's fine. I get to show a little bit of prep. Let's go G6. This is my favorite variation. Trying to go bishop G7 and gang up on the D4 pawn in the future. I'm a big fan of this line, and it's what I recommend in my Caro Kann course. So, yeah, in the long run, we can get a very dynamic position. The question basically is whether white can pose enough threats to stop us from castling before we get to basically go bishop G7 and castles. So we have take, forcing moves, which... Okay, G3, that looks wrong. Let's go bishop G7. I'm not a fan of this idea, but we'll see what my opponent has in mind. We'll see what he has in mind. It's not ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of targets on this diagonal. Okay, let's castle. Bishop G4, pawn H3, take. Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen someone fianchetto in that position. Taking is never really a good idea. I could go E6, but I'm not really sure I want to block my bishop in. I could go bishop E6, but then I guess knight G5 is annoying. Could go pawn H6. Seems slow. I could go knight back. Pawn D5 takes. Not a fan. Maybe E6 is the best idea. Maybe E6 is the best idea. I don't really want to play it, but it does feel correct. If knight E5, I think probably knight C3, pawn C3, knight takes. Right, rook E1, but here my idea was to go knight back to B6, opening up the threat on the pawn. Now once he moves his bishop, I think probably knight to C4. Maybe bishop D7, but then he can push. No, let's go knight c4. Apply pressure to the bishop and the pawn on b2. I could try and fianchetto, potentially. Maybe I have to start with rook b8, but if I get fianchetto in, I should be doing well. The d-pawn should be a weakness long term. Really interesting seeing white fianchetto his light squared bishop here. Really interesting. I've never really seen that before. So I guess I'm learning here. Okay, queen b3. Can I go knight a5? Feels very clumsy. Feels very clumsy. I could take the bishop. I think I will. Okay, pawn takes. So he wants to take a massive center. Queen b6 offering a queen trade. I don't know about that. If b6, knight e5. Bishop takes. Maybe queen c. No, queen c7 is knight here. Rook b8. Queen d6. No. Wait. Here, here, here. Maybe a5, a4. Queen comes to b5 though. I'm not really achieving anything. Maybe a3. Or actually, let's go knight e7, I think, trying to exert more control. Here is annoying. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best idea. I'm actually just going to look for a queen trade, because I'm struggling a bit here. My opponent's played this really well, and I'm not really sure what I've done wrong. Okay. If here, I'll take it now that queens are off the board. I think that's fine. So I'm trying to play this. I do have the bishop pair, but it's not that impressive. Yo, how's it going, Noah? How's it going, Pranay? Good to see you both. I obviously have double pawns, but my b-pawn actually is decent, controlling c5. And obviously b7 is defending c6. Okay. So bring a rook to d8. Trying to prevent e4. Okay, it's offering me a knight trade. Sorry, yeah. Bishop trade even. Let's apply pressure to this diagonal. King moves up. Let's take. Not really sure what this does, but maybe the z4. But then it weakens the d file a lot. That's probably fine. g4 at an appropriate moment. Knight comes in here. This could be a problem. I think this is interesting. I'm just so low on time. Obviously, I want the c file. Let's bring my king to f7, I think. Okay, let's drop back. Drop back. h5. We'll trap the knight. Yeah, okay. Here, I drop back. Is the knight not trapped? I think it is. I think we've caught our opponent out. Okay, no, it doesn't work because this knight hangs. Okay, lovely. Let's trade. I think this is the correct defense. Good moves, though. But yeah, what do I do? I guess I go rook c7. Oh. Wait a minute. My rook's trapped. Hold on. What am I doing? I have to sack. Oh, I've played that horrible. Oh, I've just lost. Oh, wow. I have no idea how I've done that. Very well played to my opponent. I don't know what I did wrong. Wait, what? So what did I do wrong here? So this is okay. D5. Apparently F5 is the only move. Yeah, GG, man. That was incredible. I don't know how you just squeezed that. F5 is the move, and after takes bishop E5, stopping the infiltration. But can he not just infiltrate anyway? G4, E7, check. Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when was I lost, though? Okay, G4 is the only move. I didn't play it. And here I'm just lost. Completely lost. And then this. I'm drawing. But bishop e5 loses. I have to go bishop c7. And then stay on this diagonal. And always kick the rook away from d8. Okay, wow. Very well played to my opponent. Do I support a football team? Yeah, I support Wolves, which is pretty unfortunate at the moment. I mean, I'm glad we've sacked our coach, but yeah, it is Caro Kann games. So yeah, we sacked our manager, which I'm kind of happy about, but our ownership at Wolves is horrific. They're the problem. Okay, which line should we play? Which line shall we play? Let me think. Let's play the normal exchange variation. We've had an advance, we've had a classical, we've had a Panov. Let's play a normal exchange with bishop d3. We'll see how well my opponent knows his theory. So the move I personally recommend in my course is queen c7. We have knight to f6 though. Let's go pawn h3, stopping anything coming to g4. Here, one of the critical lines is e5. I don't think it's all that good for black practically, although the computer likes it after take, knight f3, take and take. I'm not a fan. Computer thinks it's good, but that is personal preference. I think I used to play pawn e6. Yeah, my opponent does do it, but to me, this is incredibly passive. It's playable, it's just very passive. Because this bishop sucks. And you see the point of our h3, bishop d3 setup, stopping this bishop from developing, which is why I have a bit of an antidote to that, which I learned from Alex Banzea in the Caro course. So, okay, h6 seems unnecessary. And in this this pawn structure, which is known as the Carlsbad structure, typically white's idea is to whack a knight on e5 and then try and steamroll black on the king side. That's normally the plan. So we'll see if we can make that happen. Start with knight bd2. We want to go something like knight e5 and bring the other knight to f3. And then form some kind of attack from there. Yeah, so we can't allow black to play e5. So knight e5 is a difficult move because you can't take with the knight, because after pawn takes, the bishop and knight get forked. So the only way to remove the knight will be to take with the bishop, but then you give me the bishop pair, which, I mean, you could do, but again, practically, I think that's very hard to play, especially because your knight gets booted out. So let's say bishop takes, pawn takes, knight back. I mean, knight f3. I think you'd have to try f6 here. But you can see already the Black King could be in a lot of trouble since we have almost all of our army already pointed towards the King side, right? And this is the idea of this pawn structure for white, which is why I don't play e6 with black anymore. And, you know, just this is a horrific bishop. Horrific. So, the game isn't over. The game isn't over. I'm not saying that. But we do have some very aggressive plans. Okay, so we see a5. I think he might be trying b6, bishop a6 to get a bishop trade. That would be my guess. Could go a4. Yeah, let's go a4, just to clamp down on b5, make this pawn a permanent weakness. I could even go queen b3. Yeah, so he does go for it. I think, to be fair, I think queen e2 is quite a nice idea, just to stop the bishop coming here. I have bishop to b5 if I want. He may try and fianchetto instead, but it feels a bit subpar. Feels a bit subpar. Knight, that's one way to do it. Wait, bishop here, queen here, knight f8, knight d4. I quite like that. Quite like that. Let's do that. Hey Alex, long time viewer, but first time catching you live. What's your Puzzle Rush top score? I have literally no idea. I'm not even going to lie. I don't play Puzzle Rush, so I don't know. Apologies, but I have no idea. So I'm trying not to let black trade off this bishop, because I don't think it's very good. I think I like knight d4 here. Preparing f4, f5. Also stopping knight c6 for now. Let's go f4. I expect knight c6, and I probably just drop back. Keep them on the board. I mean, I could also consider knight to b5. I might actually force a trade there, because the queen's under attack and d6 is threatened. Go bishop e3. Discovered attacks ready. Yeah, I think black's falling apart because of the low time now. Here. Not quite good enough. I'm in no rush though. Just go bishop f2, preparing this. So that after takes and takes, my e-pawn is defended. Okay, I could... Sorry, is the queen trapped? I think the queen's trapped. That's nuts. And now we'll just trade and win. That's crazy. The queen's completely trapped. Okay, let's go f6. Probably force this. Yeah. And now the queen f2, hitting c5. Yeah, let's do that. My opponent's creating a bit of counterplay, but I don't think it matters that much. My bishop doesn't really have any squares. I think I'll put the queen here and bring the bishop here. I think that's probably the plan. He stops that. That's a very annoying move. Okay, in that case, we'll just push. Guess I didn't consider this. Am I throwing? Am I throwing? Hold on. Here. If here... Wait. Here. Rook here. I'm getting mated. What am I doing? I think rook a2 might be the attempt to defend. Because if the check on f2 is given, I can take. Yeah, it's very annoying, though. Drop back. I don't know why I'm throwing this. I'm completely throwing. I don't know. Yeah, I know bishop e4 was a try, but... Oh my god, what am I doing? What am I doing? And now I'm just lost. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. That was horrific. My opponent created some really good counterplay there. I don't know why I let him do that. It's not really an excuse. I can run over here or try, but... Here. It's a good move. I can resign that. I have no idea what I was doing there. I mean, I was up a queen for a piece. Okay. So here, I was trying to figure this out. This is a draw, though. This is a draw. And obviously, I don't want to draw. I should be winning. Oh, I should have found that. I should have found that. That's so obvious. I should have found that. I mean, to be honest, though, I didn't deal with his rooks. In this position, no. In this position... I'm just messing around. I mean, why am I pushing pawns? I mean, bishop e4 here works. As if take. But even queen e3 makes sense. And just sacking and pushing. I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. Going for this. Yeah, I mean, fair play to my opponent for pulling that back from what should have been a completely lost position, but that's really bad. I don't really have an excuse for that. The opening was great, but that was not. All right, we've got a Briar. We've got Briar, so e5 is what I recommend in the course, because if white's going to let us play e5, we probably should. And we basically just defend the center. And yeah, this is a very popular way to play the position with the fianchetto, but black is just better. As long as we don't go d4, allowing the knight into c4, we're just clearly better, in my opinion, and objectively. Bishop g4, knight d7. I mean, this is an easy position. It's going to be a slow game, most likely, but it's kind of like an Italian, almost. Except we have a pawn on d5 and e5. Like, let's go a4. Sorry, a5, stopping any p4 ideas. Bishop g4, knight d7. It's pretty easy. There's no need to go into the endgame that white is offering us. Or taking even. Okay, let's go knight b7. Queen c7. Always useful. We could try for queenside expansion, but I don't really want to just yet. Do I take? I don't think so. Knight c5 looks interesting. If this, I take. This is obviously doesn't really look like a Caro Kann, so I think a lot of people probably struggle in these positions with black, because this is not what you're going to be used to if you play a Caro. But it's really nothing to fear. It's quite an easy position. I could take. I think I'd rather retreat. G4 here. You can go after the f5 square, which is semi-annoying. I can always drop the bishop back, though, which is kind of Italian Roy Lopez-esque stuff. Not really anything to be concerned about. Yeah, g4, let's drop back. There's no need to be sacrificing. It doesn't do anything. I have no attack. And yeah, I mean, I just have a very strong knight. You can't really go d4 or b4 to kick it away. Okay. Take looks no good. Tempted by this? I guess he goes take, and take, but then this. But I guess he can take here first. So maybe we just go rook d8. I mean, I assume he's going to try and grab the f5 square. No, but here I take. And he can't put a knight there anymore. If this pawn takes, e4 is an idea, but I don't have to play that immediately. If this pawn takes, yeah, probably makes a bit more sense. Take. I'll start with bishop f8, opening up the d file for my rook. Bishop g5. Jason, how's it going, mate? Good to see you. Alright, my knight's under attack. Do I care that much? Maybe? This doesn't look right, because take and the pawn will push. Defend, though. Let's defend. I put it in the Discord, mate. I put it in the Discord. Alright, if he takes this, we have opposite colored bishops. I still think we're better, though, because we have the two central pawns. 81. Feel like it's the right moment to play d4. Yeah, it's just a feeling. Okay, c4. I thought we could try and maneuver our knight over to the b4 square. And then d3 is weak. And his bishops are not very impressive. Okay, he goes pawn b3. I think we probably still hop in. Let's go h6. Yeah, that's good. Knight g3, okay. Yeah, the b4 square is pretty sexy. I'm actually going to retreat, though, because I want to play this and then this. That looks even better. Or maybe bishop c3. I don't see an immediate win or anything, but I don't need to. Let's go queen h4. If f6, I probably take that. I don't think that's concerning. Yeah, he goes back. I don't want to get my queen trapped. Let's go here. Let's go here. Force one of his pieces to defend. Maybe we can start our own kingside attack. Not ridiculous. I mean, both these pawns are so weak. My knight's pretty damn good. Maybe my bishop shouldn't be here, but I don't know. Let's start with king h7. If g6, I do have to be slightly careful about the f5 square for his knight. Okay, he's going to use his rook to defend, to let his queen do something else, but my one knight is occupying both of these rooks. I mean, that's really good. Maybe my bishop should be elsewhere, though. Yeah, I probably want it over here, don't I? Yeah, I should play something like this. Bring the bishop around. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the reason I have time to... Or the reason I think I have time to do this is because the position is not opening up anytime soon. Okay. I think a queen trade is reasonable. Let's come back. I want to use this diagonal still. Thank you very much, War Machine. Appreciate you. Let's drop back. How do I do this? Could try and come into c3. I mean, my knight is really good, but it's hard for me to find a way for my rooks to get involved. Okay, this looks very nice. Yeah, I want take to open up the f-file. I don't want to take and allow knight takes. Keep his rooks occupied so they can't double up. Put some pressure on the knight. Let's take the knight. Opponent's playing well. Now let's hang around. Let's take the G file. Yeah, I think I trade there. I'm just trying to occupy his pieces with my knight, and then I can do stuff elsewhere. H5 is the idea. Don't want to get pinned with rook h1. Now we'll go h5. And now I think we should be winning. All because of this knight. Now I know he does have b4, but it's risky. But he probably should play it still. Yeah, and now d3 is going to collapse. And this should be winning. My king is very safe. You'll see why I kept the pawn on f7 as well. Now we'll scoop this up. Yeah, he's going to try to create counterplay. It's not going to be enough, though, I don't think. Push. Rook here, rook here. Oh, wait. Is that just a... That's just a horrible move. Oh my god, I've just thrown the game. I've completely thrown the game for no reason. What am I doing? I've played some really good games of chess and then just thrown them away. I mean, this game's completely winning. All I have to do is not trade rooks. Like, anything else. Here, game over. I can't explain. I can't explain. I mean, GG to my opponent for hanging on, but like 2 games in a row, I've just got a completely winning position and lost for no reason. I mean, I thought this was a bit of a positional, like, masterclass, to be fair. Like, I don't know. My knight was just completely dominant. Yeah, that's very frustrating. That's very frustrating, but it happens. It's chess. It's chess. All right. We'll have another Caro then. What line haven't we played yet? Okay, I know what. We'll play a von Hennig. Obviously, we've faced the von Hennig earlier on in the stream, but here we'll play the von Hennig. I don't know all the theory, but I don't think it's that difficult, to be fair. Maybe I'm being arrogant, but I don't think it's that hard of a gambit to play. f6, f3. We're happy to sack the pawn. Yeah, I can't believe those 2 previous endgames. Just, ugh. Yeah, so here the idea is to take. And after knight takes, queen f3. And this is the line that Chess Vibes played against me in our mini-match. Do we have to play the Caro Kann to challenge you? Yes. It's a Caro Kann only stream. Because if people want to learn the Caro Kann, I think this stream could be a very interesting one. Or if people just want to book up on their moves, you know? I think this could be quite an interesting stream. I think that's bad. I don't think that's a good move. Why? I think it's because of takes. I mean, I've never played this line before, but I think taking on f7 should be the idea. So I take with check, and then I take the knight. Hold on, I have mate. Mate in 10 moves in the Von Hennig. That's not bad, eh? That's GG to my opponent. This is why the Von Hennig is so difficult. I mean, objectively, this is better for black. So in the previous game, you saw that my opponent actually played... what did he play? He played knight f3, I think. And I think I went back to d6 with the knight, or something like that. But yeah, it's super difficult. Could I not just take bishop 2? Well, no, because if I take the bishop, he moves his knight. And black is actually fine here. He's up a pawn, remember? Free knight or mate in 1, tough choice. Yeah, for sure. So you have to go bishop f7. Because then everything comes with a check. Now, obviously, I thought he'd do this and then we'd take. Yeah, no, because the problem is, Kumar, is that if we take the bishop, yeah. I actually thought that e6 would be the idea. And I saw bishop e6, and I was like, oh, it's a bit complicated. I don't really want to have to do that. But also, if I take, that is knight d5, which I admit I didn't see. I saw e6, but, you know, same idea. All right, let's go. Anonymous source 123. Is that Kenya? Yeah, it's Kenya. I'm not bad with flags. I used to play a lot of FIFA, so you get good at flags with that. And all right, let's see which line we get. Okay, exchange. Are we getting the Panov? No, the classical exchange. And I'm going to play queen c7, which is the line I recommend in my course, which I learned from Alex Banzea. And then I think the idea is bishop g4. Because bishop f4 is threatened, supported by the knight. My opponent's playing some good moves here. Yeah, okay. I think I can take, though. Maybe I take here. Take. Take. Maybe there's knight takes. Okay. So I think we should take here. So, yeah, bishop g4 is made to play against bishop f4. It doesn't necessarily stop it completely, but I think our position is perfectly fine here. So let's just develop normally. I mean, white has the bishop pair, but it's not like there's any kind of attack because queens are off the board. It's not really a big deal that his king is in the center. It's not particularly weak. It's, again, not really like I can attack it. I'm actually going to go king d7 voluntarily, because I think the king is well placed on d7 to prepare this. And then again, I think my king is quite good on d6, because, I mean, how are you going to exploit it without a dark squared bishop? All right, knight to f3. Let's take. Obviously, he wants this, which I don't really care about. Let's start with h6 to stop this, and also to make sure this isn't a target. Yeah, let's take that. If pawn takes, I feel like that's a bit of a weakness, really. I mean, yes, our knight has to go to e8, but I can just bring it to c7. That's not a big deal. Let's go g6 to stop any f5 ideas. Could even go h5. Yeah, let's do h5. King f3. Let's go knight c7. I don't know, I was considering knight g7, but I didn't really want to put it here. Okay, a4. Is that a concern? Let's go a6. stop the bishop coming in. b4. Okay, well this weakens... This weakens the c-pawn. Let's come back to a8 to try and come into b6. If he goes a5, I can come back to c7 and use b5. Okay, he goes c4. Go knight b6. c5 I think I can take. Rook here should be fine. If a5 I take, and if that I take. Yeah. And I think we're doing well. I mean, realistically, with perfect play, it's probably a draw, of course. But we're neither me or my opponent are going to be playing perfectly. All right, let's push a5 to get the pawn off of a light square. These pawns being on light squares doesn't really concern me because it's very hard for white to break through. Bishop e4, okay, it's interesting. Knight b6 is risky. Could give this check, but if take, it's annoying. Guess I take, but then this. Then I have knight here, though. Then check here, rook takes. That's not great. It's a good move for my opponent. I think I have to accept an isolated pawn. Now, the question is whether it's going to be a strength or a weakness. That's the question. I'm not sure about this move, but I'm going to play it. Risky. Because I give him a protected passed pawn. Oh, there's no increment. Oh, I didn't know there was no increment. Okay. I didn't even realize that time was a big factor here. Oh, okay then. Well, the game is actually completely equal. I'm not really concerned about that result because I didn't even realize the time was like that. Yeah, can we have increment, please? To be fair, I don't think I specified, but GG to my opponent. Yeah, rook c5 actually is the best move, so I'm glad I found that. Here I thought we just had quite an interesting game. Of course, my opponent took because of my time. I didn't realize I was having to play on no increment. But yeah, I mean, that was just a good game, to be fair. The engine actually prefers this. Wait, what happens after this? What am I missing? Oh, rook d8. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Right, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, GG. That was an interesting game, but yeah. Please, can we have increment in the future? No, we're not playing this. No, it's a Caro Kann video. We're playing Caro Kann games, not Queen's Gambit or Slav or whatever. We're not playing that. Caro Kann only. It's in the title. All right. Waiting on the next challenge. I probably won't stream for too much longer because I do have work to be getting on with. Despite what you may think, I don't just play chess all day. Alright, Vizku. Let's go. Kumar, we are playing Caro. Dude. We're playing Caro Kann games. That is the stream. That is in the title of the stream. In the title of the stream. Um, if you're going to challenge me, play a Caro. We want e4. Why is this a rated challenge? Dude, come on. Whatever. At least it's got increment. Come on. We'll have e4? No? Yeah? Okay, good. Good. There we go. Alright. Maybe we'll have the 2 knights. No, we have an advance. Okay. Let's go bishop g4. Go e6. I think this is actually just quite a good line for us. This just looks very good. And then we just win a pawn. Nope. Wait, no, we don't. No, we don't. I'm bugging. It's still a very reasonable line, but yeah, it's we're not winning a pawn. I'm completely wrong. Now we are winning a pawn though. Take with the knight, so we hit the bishop. I'm just gonna nab that, to be fair. I don't see a reason to delay. Go bishop b4. Bring our knight in. Maybe c6, maybe f5. Castle, be up a pawn. We could actually win that. No, we can't. The queen defends. Okay, let's not blunder that. I could take the knight, but the knight can't go anywhere, so I'm not really in a rush. Okay, now we'll take it. If my opponent's going to prompt me, and then we just up a pawn. And the pawn that we are up is a protected passer, so that's rather nice. Okay, let's clog up the c-file for now with knight c6. And I'll open it back up when I'm ready. Is there a queue? No, there is no queue. You can just send me a challenge. Knight here? Okay, I'm actually setting a bit of a trap. Setting a trap. There's lots of tactics around. But the trap is queen e3, I think, loses. No, it doesn't. What am I on about? Queen e3 is fine. I'm bugging. There is no trap. Oh my god. Okay, queen d3, that's fine. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just go knight here. Can we... No, I want to play with increment, please, mate. Okay. I think I'm just losing a7. But that's fine, because I can win this. Or actually, if you take, I can just take the rook. You have to take. You have to block with the queen. So I'm actually not losing a pawn. No, I thought there was some... I thought if queen e3, I had this. For some reason. Because I thought there was problems with c1. But no, there just isn't. There just isn't. Okay, queen d2. Yeah, they might be watching my stream, but I'm kind of just hoping that my opponents are good enough people to not stream snipe. Am I wrong for having faith in humanity? I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I'm always going to perform worse streaming because some people will stream snipe most likely. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right. Like, I want to try to talk and educate people. So I would rather lose some games because of stream sniping than not do what I want to do by educating people, if that makes sense. That's more important to me. So, yeah. Yeah, no, queen g3 does knight to e2, of course, but there's no reason to go to g3. I should just be winning this. Okay, rook e1, sure. Just drop back. Also controlling a1, which could be useful. I do not control c7 any longer, though, so he could try to infiltrate. because, you know, this could be annoying. This could be annoying. But if all these pawns come off the board, I'm just up 2 pawns. So there's that. And I could get the d-pawn rolling at some point. How is stream sniping helping your opponent in chess? I don't know what you mean. Okay, rook c7 on the board. So it's a tempting move. Bishop d4. I don't think that's an issue. Bishop here. Knight e4. Yeah, bishop d4 played. I think I just come back to d8. I mean, maybe I'm leaving my king side a bit undefended. I don't know. Maybe there's ideas of this, but like, I don't think it's worth it for white. I don't know. Interesting. Queen f4. Sorry, what am I missing? Can I not just take? There's no mate threat. There's that, but just defend. Yeah, okay. H3 is kind of an admission of defeat in my eyes. Let's go f6. I expect him to sack, but I don't think he has enough to justify it. Because I just want to get the bishop away. Yeah, now we'll go for this. Again, he should probably sack to have a chance, but again, it's not going to be enough. Just make sure everything's defended. Good morning, ticking clock. How's it going, mate? Queen d4. Okay. Okay, my opponent resigns. GG. It was a very interesting game. Very interesting game. So, yeah, I thought we were just better here. We are actually better. Taking on f3 is not necessary, but it's completely fine. Here, I actually mess up because there's c4. Huh. I should have just taken and then gone queen b6, I guess. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Can I please get challenge with increment? Thank you. Eumilgenus. Okay, what line are we going to play? What line are we going to play? Let's do an advance again. Let's do an advance. Okay, c5 again. Okay. Which is, again, a very tricky line for black to play after we take on c5. Very, very tricky. So bishop g4, we go c3. I assume my opponent probably knows the theory. We have lots of different traps and threats. a5. What? I've seen this move before, but I don't think it's that good. Let's go bishop b5. Hold on, doesn't that just lose? I think that's just losing. And this, again, is part of the reason for c3. And now the bishop hangs. Yeah, it's such a difficult line to play for black. And my opponent is 1700. Like, he's a good player. And he's probably better or higher rated than the majority of you watching. But yeah, these traps in the Botvinnik Karls are so difficult to deal with for black. And it's why I stopped playing these lines, because they're so hard. My opponent's apologized in the chat. He does not have to be sorry. These are difficult lines. These are difficult lines. Like, it's completely normal to mess them up every once in a while. Okay, let's go bishop to g5. Maybe bishop f6. Actually, no, bishop f6 is super strong. And I don't want to lose e5 if I can avoid it. And f5, let's just bring our other knight in. I'm in no rush to take, you know, black can't really go taking here, because I'll just take and be up a piece. Knight h6, okay. Let's rotate. Apply pressure to this knight. I could take it. I am up a piece after all. Gonna retreat. Actually play h3 to prepare g4 maybe. Also give my king some luft. c5 is hanging, but I don't know, I get to play this with tempo. Also the knight is a problem. Queen here. I also have queen here, forcing a queen trade. It does ruin my structure a bit though. Okay, take. Knight up, I assume. His knights are tripping over each other a little bit. This does trap the knight, although there is knight g3, which is like slightly annoying. After takes, queen takes. I'm fine, but it's just unnecessarily complicated. So I'm going to start with knight f1 instead. Preparing these ideas. Yeah, now he has d6. Okay, let's drop back. Apply some pressure. I'm not too fussed about losing a pawn. I mean, I'm up a piece. I don't care that much. I just want to make sure I consolidate the position. G4 knight here. Yeah. Still. Let's go queen f4. Putting some pressure on this knight. Okay, well, I can't decline a queen trade when I'm up a piece. Let's go g4 to go g5 to lock in the pawn on f6. Also stopping anything from coming to f5. Although, to be fair, I can just snap it with my bishop if I want. Let's go a3 to stop b4 from being effective. Let's go g5, try and encourage this. Offer more trades. Now we'll hop into e5, just because it's a very active square. It's very hard to remove the knight from e5. Applying pressure to f7, controlling c4. Okay, knight e4. Let's just defend the pawn. Obviously, I'm scanning for which squares the knight could infiltrate. I don't think they're too problematic. Okay, h6. Let's just drop the knight back to defend. Let's go rook d1. My opponent's playing well, but you know he's down a piece, unfortunately for him. So realistically, there's not going to be much he can do, but he is trying to fight. All right, a4. I'm going to lift my rook to d4. Maybe come to b4. Also just trying to make sure he doesn't have any infiltrations of any kind. I think I want to bring the king over here, maybe. Not that it matters all that much, because black doesn't have any play. So I can kind of take my time, to be fair. Knight e5 still looks very reasonable. Threatening this, of course. Applying pressure. Let's go f3 to keep him out of e4. This knight is doing a good job of restricting the knight, because I'll just snap it either way it goes. Yo, A123, how's it going, bro? Good to see you. I could sack, but there's not really a need, is there? Not really a need. Let's go rook b4 to apply a bit of pressure. To be fair, I'm like actually struggling to break through this. My opponent is playing very well. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. To be fair, I've done something to my back. It's in so much pain. Something lifting yesterday. I don't know what I did, but it's been killing me. Okay, eventually my opponent cracks and is letting us in. And then this should crumble, because we'll have checkmate on d8. GG to my opponent. But yeah, this again is why I stopped playing this pawn c5 line in the Caro, because it is so dangerous. So dangerous for black if white knows what he's doing. And here, yeah, a5 is just almost losing. Bishop e5, and then we're already winning. I was, of course, expecting this, where I was going to play here, 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 king e7, and gf3. That was the line I was expecting to happen. But GG to my opponent. Ticking clock. Let's go. Good to see you again. This is a Caro Kann only stream, so we are only having Caro Kanns. We'll see what he goes for. Okay, the exchange. The Panov. Yeah, that's what I personally play. Kumar, you did very well to hold on, though, to be fair. And we'll see what he goes for. Bishop g5 is my personal line of choice with white. He goes knight f3. So we'll play g6, looking for bishop g7, which we played earlier. So earlier, my opponent went g3 and fianchettoed himself, which I thought was very strange, but it was rather interesting. Here, bishop f4. Do I have to be concerned about knight b5? Here, here. I could just go a6. I don't think this works, though. But I don't know why I think that. Castles, knight c7, rook b8. Then there's knight d5. We'll go a6, just to be sure. Maybe I'm allowing this, I don't know. Interesting. I'll have to check it after the game, because I'm not 100% sure. Okay, queen b3. Well, now we can just go knight a5, surely. Hit the queen, hit c4. Yo, Christian Frost, how's it going, mate? Good to see you. So if this, I have this, and my knight is protected and the queen is under attack. If something like this, then I have this. Don't I still have this? Yeah. If this, then this. I think this is winning. I mean, it has to be. Genuinely not sure about that bishop f4 move, though. I know I've faced it before, but see you, Kumar. Have a good one, mate. Have a good one. GG's for the game. I know I've seen this bishop f4 move before, and I know I played bishop g7, but I can't remember what I was supposed to do after knight b5. Can't remember, because castles knight c7 looks concerning. But I mean, in this position, it just looks winning, because the queen is just constantly under attack. So she's going to have to retreat, and then I'll just take the bishop, and that'll be game over. Yeah, the queen isn't trapped. She can escape, but the problem is the bishop on f4. And now I'm just up a piece, so I can ignore that. Maybe my knight's trapped, though? My knight can't be attacked, though, because b4 I take. I think I'll start with rook c8. My knight isn't all that good, but with rook c8, I do pin the knight, but I also give my knight the c4 square. So I do have to be slightly careful, to be fair. Do have to be slightly careful. I'm also up on the clock significantly, though, although there is increment, so, you know. Okay, queen e2 check. Well, surely I just force a queen trade. Okay, 95. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's an interesting move, actually. That's a really interesting move. Hmm. Should I do this? I'm not going to lie, I think that's the easiest thing to do. Just to get rid of this pawn. I don't know if that's an overreaction, but... I mean, I have 2 pieces for the rook. And I have a strong position. I don't know. Yeah, so here I'm not really concerned, because I have to take with the king, because the queen is pinned. But this forces a queen trade. And then my 2 pieces should show themselves to be better. Okay, c4. No, actually, let's give this check. Yeah, the white king is not in the best position. Let's come back. Let's come back. Might have just been... No, the knight's defending b7, so that's okay. Let's attack. King d3 I take. Yeah, so c5. There's this. So I guess we come back. Defend. King c7. Defending b7, preparing this. Burn, good to see you, mate. Good to see you. How's it going? So here I actually have this fork. That's nice. Okay, he's letting my knight out very easily, so... Okay, let's retreat. I think I just blundered that. Fortunately, I'm still winning, but I've made a whole lot of terrible blunders today. Yeah, happy to see that. Let's protect my king and push. Mm-hmm. Let's take. Push. Defend. This should be winning. Let's run over here. Defend the king. And then we can bring our rook over. And promote. There's no stalemate. The king has squares, the pawn has a move. Yeah, GG. Yeah, I just wanted to check in this opening with bishop here. Okay, a6 is actually an overreaction. GG ticking clock. GG. So bishop g7 actually is the best. I couldn't remember what to do after here castles here. Ah, here I have e5 counterattacking. And if this, I get 2 pieces for the rook. And if pawn takes, queen takes, pawn takes, queen takes, pawn takes, rook e8, bishop e2, queen e4. I've just got to go take a call, guys. Give me a sec. I've got to go take a call. Sorry, guys. My girlfriend just called me. Apologies. I think we'll do one more game, then I'm probably gonna get going because I've got work to do. But GG to ticking clock. Let's go. Final game against Mike Chess Rapid. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Sorry about that again. I think I'd ignored my girlfriend for a couple of hours because I was streaming. Oh, dude, come on. While you're waiting for the streamer, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Yeah, man. No, I don't have a sponsor, so no. Someone send me a challenge? Can we please have increment, guys? Can we please have increment? That is a no increment game, attacking genius. Mike Chess Rapid. That is a rapid game. Sorry, a game of increment. There we go. All right. What are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? All right, we'll get a classic. Yeah, Tartakawa. Yeah, okay. So the knight is actually pretty misplaced on f3, depending on how white plays. So we'll see what happens. Old guy advice. Do whatever you have to do to stay in the big bed. Absolutely. All right, so this knight is not very good. I think white could be in trouble if he isn't careful here. And I think this position might just be, like, basically equal. All right, let's start with queen c7. As I said in the earlier game in the Tartakower, which we played from the white side, f4 and f5 are very important squares, so remember that. Okay, bishop back to e2. Okay, let's develop. And we have had games where we've gone for this kind of idea previously in the channel, and it's paid off very nicely. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens. This. Okay, so we have queen d3, which is a smart move. I think do we still play it? Yeah, I'd say so. And then we can kick the queen. Wait, have we had this exact line on the channel before? I think we've had this exact line. I think we have. And the problem for white is that, yes, his dark squared bishop is now safe. But what about the light squared bishop? What about the light squared bishop? I actually remember I've had this exact position before on stream. And bishop c1 is the only move. Because now after b5, the queen has to move. And then the bishop hangs. And we go up a piece. And that is why, ladies and gents, f4 and f5 are such important squares. That's why. Because of things like that. So, yeah. That's crazy that we've had the exact same line. And, you know, this is what, 16, 17 moves deep? Okay, I'm overthinking this. Let's just go knight c4. This bishop sucks anyway. I don't need that bishop. Bishop back. Let's go a5. I guess I'm expecting a4. Take. This is a very common structure in the Tartakower, which is very good for black, the pawn cube. f3 looks very strong. Am I overdoing it, though? Probably. Probably overdoing it. Let's just defend. Missed bishop c2. I did miss bishop c2, yes. No, I completely missed that. Thank you for pointing that out, guys. Completely missed that. You're both correct. Good spot. If I take, I hang the knight, so let's not do that. Instead, let's go f3. Trying to create weaknesses on the king side. Okay, well, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is, like, can I do that? But I don't think so. Let's go queen b8. Setting up ideas of take, and queen takes. Very hard to stop. King h2 doesn't actually work because of this, and the pawn can't take because it's pinned. So yeah, if you want to sack the bishop, I mean, you can, but I don't have to take that. Yeah, I think I now have knight d2. I missed a fork earlier with bishop c2, so let's not miss another fork. Offer a queen trade. And yeah, the d pawn is being monitored. Let's double up on the second rank. And then we should be able to clean up. Take, and then push, push, promote, and then this pawn is easy to stop. And that is checkmate with queen to f8. GG. That's crazy that I've played this trap before, and yeah, the bishop on e3 can just be such a big problem sometimes, even though it is the best square to put it on. Yeah, like f5 and black is already better. White, the computer wants white to go queen d3 as he did, but after pawn to f4, he has to go bishop back to c1, because now if I go bishop here, he has queen d1, making sure he defends. So, yeah, my opponent goes bishop d2, which looks more natural, but the queen just gets booted away. And, yeah, I completely missed the bishop c2 fork here. I completely missed this, and to be fair, we have apparently mate in 8 because of f3. We've discovered check. Doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is pretty damn good for us. Not to mention we're up like a rook or something. But yeah, I mean the game is completely winning regardless. f3 is the best move, forcing issues. And the problem for white here is if he tries like rook g1, for example, I mean I could just take on f2. So okay, I don't even know like what is a waiting move here. Like, let's say you take, I could take back, but I could just take here. And if you take and take, there's several mates. And if you take the knight, queen c8 is the best move, but even just bishop f2, and we're just crashing through on the king's side. The Tartakower is an aggressive opening. It is. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I need to go. I've got work to do. Hope you enjoyed.